Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia, and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020 Meta Preview. So this is where things go a little bit wacky because of the changes to the hero pools going into the June and Summer Showdown and all that. We get a change up in what happens here. So for 2 weeks we've been on a certain hero pool where we have seen Echo, Sombra, Diva and Brigitta banned. Now, going into week 3 of our June fixtures, this hero pool is removed, but it is not going to be replaced. This week 3 is the last set of fixtures, and then we'll be having the Summer Showdown, where obviously, just like the main Melee tournament, we wouldn't be seeing a hero pool anyway. So this obviously means that the next week, week 3 of June, shall we say, we'll have no hero pool. So Echo and Sombra and Diva and Brigitta will be available, and no other heroes will be banned. So this is going to have an impact on what teams might be playing. Over the last 2 weeks and back in the main Melee, we have seen a meta develop focusing a lot on Tracer, Ashe, and over the past 2 weeks we've seen a lot of Sigma, Orisa, Double Barrier, especially in NA. In Asia, or APAC, we've seen a bit more Dive and things like that. It's been kind of interesting to see the difference in the two regions. I think we all agree at the moment that the APAC region is stacked and it is very competitive in that region, whereas in North America you've got a bit more of a gap between the bottom half and the top half of those standings. But it's going to be interesting to see if the now available heroes will make a difference to the meta in the coming weeks. So let's look at Brigitte first of all. Now, Brigitta was actually a pretty major part of a lot of team compositions before we got this hero pool. Simply because Brigitta, not only is she very effective at protecting her backline, because that is actually, Lucio's very good at that as well, but Brigitta can armor pack dive heroes. So very often you would see the Brigitta armor pack the Tracer as they go in. That Tracer becomes a lot more difficult for a Zen or something to kill when she goes in, give us a more chance of getting out. So a lot of teams were running the Brigitta for that purpose, and obviously Rally is still a really good ultimate, but so is Sound Barrier, so there's a lot of trade-offs between Lucio and Brigitta, but Brigitta is just ever so slightly better because of that armor pack stuff. Now, if you've seen the experimental card on the Overwatch Live servers right now, that has some adjustments to Brigitta, which means that she'll no longer give armor via armor packs. Now that won't come through, obviously, for this, but if that does go live, that'll have a massive impact on how much Brigitta is played at a high level. I fully believe that. It'll make Lucio a lot more viable as a pick over to Brigitta, but with Brigitta coming back, I think we will see a lot more Brigitta than we will see Lucio. If I was to hazard a guess, simply because she's very good at enabling dive as well as countering it as well. It's kind of weird. So if there's any hero out of all of these heroes that are coming back, minus maybe Diva, I would say Brigitta might have the biggest influence on what's being run. But I still don't think it will change much up in terms of what tanks teams want to run or what DPS they want to run. I just think it might give the DPS more chance to pop off, and they've been popping off already. Although, it may make it harder for Tracers to get into the backline and kill certain supports because the Brigitta can armor pack a Zen, or whatever they want to do like that. Or they wouldn't be running a Zen, they'd probably be running, they might go back to running Batiste Brigitta? Something like that. So we may see a little bit less Zen usage. It'd be interesting to see how that comes off, because we've seen quite a bit of Batiste Zen, and I think that's mainly because we've seen a lot of Double Barrier, especially in NA. So we may see a slight move away from Batiste Zen, and especially with Reinhardt probably benefiting from the fact that Diva comes back, we may see more of this rushy, more mobile comp, which means you're less likely to run that Zen, you're more likely to run the Brigitta alongside a high healing output hero like Batiste or Moira. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. Brigitta is pretty strong at the moment, and I would expect her to see some good playtime. If there was one team I could pick out from all of the teams in the league that I expect to pick up Brigitta as soon as she's back, it would be the Florida Mayhem. I think we all know that Chris would be better served on the Brigitta rather than the Lucio, especially as history goes. But I think Florida have actually suffered from not having Brigitta in the pool. But so coming to the tank, obviously it's Diva, and Diva is always very good. There's only been really one time that I can majorly think of where she hasn't been very good, and that was near the end of last year where we saw Double Barrier and Sigma was just bonkers, and Diva wasn't played. But apart from that, Diva is generally very good, and we see a lot of Reinhardt Diva. Obviously, if you're going to see Dive, which we have seen quite a fair bit of Dive in APAC, then they're most likely to go back to Winston Diva or Hammond Diva instead of the Winston Hammond. That's not the most ideal thing. Obviously, Defense Matrix is still a very good ability. Again, Diva's got some changes on the experimental card on live servers, but they won't be coming through anytime soon, so don't expect any changes for her. But something we could highlight when we come to the DPS is that we will possibly be going to the buffs that have just been moved on live patch, which contain Genji buffs, which could be interesting because we've seen some teams trying to run that Genji. Paris Eternal, I'm looking at you. So with Genji buffs, maybe we see a little bit more Genji, but I'm not sure because Brigitte might make it pretty tough for that. It's kind of a hey buff. Oh, Brigitte's back. Damn, you know that's what Genji's kind of like. But with Diva coming back, I expect a lot of teams to start picking her up again. But I still think we will rotate between some teams wanting to run the double barrier. For example, on the Spitfire, I think will be much more comfortable on the Orisa Sigma than they will be on, say, Reinhardt Diva or Winston Diva. Soul Dynasty, I would say stick to the double barrier. You know, it's what you're good at. Although you're still not picking up wins anyway. So, yeah, it's rough for Soul Dynasty. But there are some teams that will benefit from Diva coming back, I think, as well. So, I would expect Diva to slot in. But the tank lines are very, very much dependent on the playstyle of the teams at the moment and whether those teams want to run double barrier or they want to run the more mobile Rhine Diva. So, or even, obviously, the dive. So I'm very interested to see which teams go back to dive and go back to the more mobile comps and which teams try to stick to that Orisa Sigma. It could have a major impact on who we see popping off in the coming weeks. That'll be interesting. And there's some teams that just don't care, like Shanghai Dragons, like San Francisco Shock. They just don't care. You want to run double barrier, we'll run double barrier. You want to run Reinhardt Orisa, we'll run Reinhardt Orisa, or run Diva Winston, whatever. We'll run whatever, we'll be good at it. So that's generally what those teams are like. But let's move to the DPS then. So Sombra is powerful in the right hands, and Sombra is very often utilized by APAC teams, especially we've seen Shanghai utilize Sombra, Guangzhou have utilized Sombra quite a bit, I think, Chengdu have, Seoul have, so I think we will see Sombra come back a little bit in APAC, but I think only in certain situations. I will be interested to see if someone tries to oust the Tracer and go for a Sombra, go Sombra Ash or something like that. That'll be interesting. I think Sombra can be pretty good against double barrier because of her ability to disable shields, disable barriers. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think Sombra will have a bigger rejuvenation in APAC than North America. If I was to pick anything out, I think North America might benefit more from the other DPS that's coming back, and that is Echo. So Echo's been banned twice since her release, and she hasn't been released that long. We know some teams that absolutely adore playing Echo. Florida Mayhem is one of them. I mean, we know all about the triple shatter Yaki Echo. It was pretty bonkers. I think we can say that. So some teams will be able to move back to their comfort zone on the Echo. And some teams, Vancouver Titans as well, Shockwave on the Echo during the main melee was bonkers. So that could be a benefit for them. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think Echo is going to be meta. I honestly don't think Echo is going to be like, wow, she's back, everyone play her. I don't think it's going to be like that, because I think we're going to still see quite a bit of Ashe. So that's going to put the mockers on Echo to some extent. And obviously Widowmaker has been having a good time of it in the past 2 weeks. Not as good as Ashe, but we've seen quite a bit of Widow. So I don't think Echo is going to be dominant in the meta. I really don't think so. If she is, then great, because Echo is so fun to watch, in my opinion. But I think there's some teams that will try and get back to playing that Echo. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida tried to get Yaki back on the Echo. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, in terms of like trade-offs for certain heroes getting worse, if we see more Sombra, I think we see more Torb. Because if we see more Sombra, I think we see more Dive. If we see more Dive, one of the best heroes at countering Dive right now is the Torbjorn. And we haven't seen a massive amount of Torbjorn in recent weeks, have we? Elephant in the room, no Sombra. So it will be interesting to see if Torb gets a little bit of a rejuvenation because of Sombra being back. So that's a point there. But this is the first week, well, it's not the first week of the season, but this is the first week of online play in regular matches where we've seen no hero pool. So it'll be interesting to see. I think we will glean a lot from team identity in this coming week. If I was to say anything, I think we will see which teams really like a certain comp over another, and certain teams may not turn up at all. I'm looking at Soul Dynasty right now, because we thought they would turn up in the double barrier method that we've had for the past 2 weeks, and they haven't, because they're 0 and 2. So some teams are very difficult to predict. That's all we can say, but I'm very interested to see what goes down in week 21, because we've got some really darn interesting matches. I mean, we're going to see Seoul go up against Shanghai, which was incredibly close in the May Melee. Hangzhou versus London. London looked vastly improved last week, so I'm interested to see how they do. Houston Outlaws looked really improved last week, and they're going up against the Florida Mayhem, who lost to the Valiant last week. So that, again, is another interesting one. New York Excelsior versus Guangzhou Charge should be really close. Valiant versus Paris could be really close. Atlanta versus Vancouver could be really close. And of course, we get to see Philadelphia Fusion take on the San Francisco Shock at darn bloomin' last. That is going to be a match that you don't want to miss. That is certainly going to be a match you don't want to miss. Also, Shanghai Dragons versus Hangzhou Spark. Very interesting. It's going to be a super duper interesting week. And then of course, we get into the Summer Showdown, which is, if it's anything like the May Melee, it's going to be bonkers. But that's my opinions on the heroes coming back and stuff like that. I'm not sure whether I will do a meta preview going ahead into the Summer Showdown, because there's no hero pools. So it's going to be the same as what we've been seeing probably in week 21, with maybe some refined usage. But it's going to be super interesting to see if these heroes coming back are going to have an impact. I think Diva and Brigitta are the two to look out for. Brigitta the most, I would say. But yeah, it's going to be super duper interesting. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to, give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.